Who goes there? You killed that vile insect and saved me. I am Kolbjor, the elder of the Twin Fangs of Boletaria. I thank you. You deserve a handsome reward. Only I have none. Go on ahead. I shall sleep a while. Some help by the honor of the good knight. This demonic polish One more demon down! Ha 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 ha!